you guys so far away, though?
I don't know. We're still figuring it out.
Feels like I'm in the hot seat.
Trying to get it where we can touch knees.
Feels like I'm testifying.
And he knows. I mean, he fucking sees people do this all the time.
This is quite uncomfortable. Right?
Yes.
So, officer.
You look the opposite.
Do you recall on the day of?
Where were you?
Member has no knowledge of the aforementioned incident.
It is, now that I look at it, though, it's like you got Megan up there, you got Kurt right there. It's like a panel. It's like,
It is.
you know?
It is.
It's almost like a firing squad.
How is it normally, though, on a show?
I don't know. I don't know.
We should look into that.
Yeah.
How does Joe Rogan does it? Is it a little closer?
He's
just
got
right
the
across.
table. He's got the table. That's a
got
big
the table?
difference.
Yeah.
It's a table setup.
Yeah, I'll buy you a table. I'll hook a brother up.
We can get one of those.
We've talked about the table.
I'll get you the Kia table.
We've talked about the table a bunch of times. The truth is that we've only just started the guest thing. The guest thing is new.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The guest thing is new. Trying to, branch out and talk to more people and, get some stories
So
going.
welcome.
Thank you.
That's we never do an intro.
Good
so that's
job
the
getting the intro in
Welcome
there.
to the show.
Welcome to the show. Get into it. You're late already.
Well, it's kind of like a catch-22 about the intro thing, because then it feels like so much more official for some reason.
And especially when you know people. Like, we know each
Yeah.
other well, so it's like,
Right.
all right, introduce yourself. You know what I mean? Like, we don't really what's going on? Are you traveling right now?
No, I'm actually fortunate to be home for a few minutes. I was in Paris for the Europeans.
Awesome.
So for the European Championship. So I did Paris, came back. I was in Vegas for work for about 10 days. Then I was home for a day.
Ugh.
And then I was in California for another week.
Wow.
He travels like nothing you've ever seen.
How you like, now you're used to it? Was it an adjustment at any point in your life, or?
So here's the weird thing. I'm used to it. There's an adjustment. So people always say like, do you feel jet lagged? Do you feel tired? I'm like, listen, I'm 62. I haven't felt rested since I was like 21. So, you know what I mean? So there's just different levels of how tired you are.
I'm going to give you guys context, though. Like, this guy will be, like, on the jet, and it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're training at 7 o'clock, and he'll text and be like, I just landed on the tarmac. Well, I'll be there.
Well, because, if I go home, I'm never going to come back out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, I get separation anxiety to the fact that these guys are getting better and I'm not. So, listen, again, at 62 years of age, I can't give them one day on their own because I'll be gone sometimes a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, who are you?
Yeah.
When I come back. Because all of a sudden they got 3 slick moves that they've been working on that I haven't seen yet. So they're all waiting. So I tell, like, when I come in, it's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon. I look like a big, like a turkey leg when I walk in. All of a sudden you see me. And I'm like, oh, everybody's happy to see me for some reason. They're like, oh, you've got something new in the trick bag you've been trying out. So, I always feel that if I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do it then.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that just like in life, we can all do it when we're rested. Whoops, sorry.
Okay.
When we're rested and you're fed and, all things are great. But show up for work, show up for jiu-jitsu, show up for life when you're tired, when you're jet lagged, and you don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
When you can do it then you're accomplishing things.
Yeah.
Because it's easier just to say, no, I'm just going to blow it off.
Yeah.
Then you'll blow it off a second and third time. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
now I'm not showing up at all.
That's like the saying, right? Like, you could do it once, but don't let it happen twice. Yeah.
It's the truth. Because once you let it happen, once you get in your mindset that you can take the easy road, not that you'll always take the easy road, but you will look at that path. You'll be like, then I'll read the text and you'll see Jesse's going to show, or this one's going to show. And I was like, yeah, I got to go. You know what I mean? If it's one guy, you're kind of like, I can blow it off. But when you see like the group is going to show up, then you feel like you have to go.
Yeah.
But sometimes even if it's one guy, like if it's just, Tony, now you feel like he's a Maytag repairman. He's by himself. So you don't want the guy to be there by himself. So you're like, now I got to go because this guy's going to be by himself looking for someone to train with,
Yeah, I didn't show up yesterday because I have this huge cut on my hand. Like, that's kind of fucking pussy.
I mean, pretty much. A Band-Aid and some tape would have taken care of it.
I thought about it. I said I could tape
He's
it.
like, I got
but maybe I should not let it get infected.
Okay, so he put
this guy's parachuting into fucking
put 2 Band-Aids on it and a piece of duct tape. Like in the army, put a piece of duct tape over it, keep moving. He's like, I've got a cut on my hand. So I missed training. I didn't want to get sweat there. Like, how old are you?
When you're traveling for work, though, you train also, like you wherever you can out there. That must be cool.
So, the short answer is yes. The long answer is I'm technically working on someone else's dime. So I have to pick and choose my battles. I'm there for work,
Right.
not there for jiu-jitsu. If I can find an opportunity to train, I will. Yeah. If I don't, because I'm too busy with work or meetings or setting other things up, I won't. But the great thing about the jiu-jitsu community is that I've literally I'm going to, say, Istanbul, Turkey. And you just go, BJJ, Istanbul, Turkey. And you find all the places. And then you literally find like their social media, like, hi, I'm coming to Istanbul for a week. You know, here's who I am. Here's my Instagram. Do you mind is there a possibility that I can train?
That's awesome.
You know, sometimes if they're busy or we don't do that, other times, oh yeah, we'll let you come. Okay, how much will it cost? What color gi should I bring? Blah, blah, blah.
It's such a community. It's
yeah,
such
and
an
they're like,
open thing.
And they're like, yeah, come and train, bring a white gi. There's the hours. You show up, you're paying your drop-in fee, which is probably not a lot to begin with. But I feel that for me, it's just widening the jiu-jitsu community and just meeting more people.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, you could come there for like a week and they'll charge you by the day. And by the third day, they're like, don't even worry about paying, just come. You know what I mean?
Great.
And then you just train. So it's really, I've been lucky where I've trained France, Germany, all over England, all over Italy, Australia. So yeah, and the community is pretty much, I probably would be jinxing myself, but I've never had a negative experience.
It's amazing.
You know what I mean? It's always been, a great time, even like when I was in Vegas, you meet these guys, here's a t-shirt, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
And now we're like Instagram buddies and we follow each other and we support each other in the community.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing happens. So like I was in Montreal. I was there for a job. I was there for 2.5 months. So I was training at a Gracie Baja up in Montreal. Great guys. 6-minute bike ride from where I was living. Trained there the whole time. And then one of their students, I think he was a purple belt or a brown belt, Mitch. This guy was from like Vancouver, living in Montreal, and was literally living in the academy. Because like one day I got there early. I was like, hey, I'm early. Oh, don't worry, bang on the door. Mitch is there. I'm like, what do you mean Mitch is there? He lives there. I'm like, what do you mean he literally lived in the rafters of the academy? You know what I mean? But he became a friend of mine. And then a year later, he texts me, hey, I want to come down and train at Henzo's. Where can I stay? Blah, blah, blah. I says, let me get back to you. Talk to my wife. Do you mind? He came out, stayed at my house. I gave him the keys to my junker car to get back and forth. Yeah, I was like, listen, it's a 93 Ford Escort. You can burn it if you want. I couldn't care less. But gave him the keys to the car, gas, money, let him stay at my place for nothing. And he went to Henzo's every day and trained. So that's kind of that you pay back the community as well. As people are welcoming to you, then when someone comes back, I'm like, yeah, whatever you need.
It's like a bond.
It's a real community. It's not, I wasn't a sports guy growing up and I never did anything else like this. But I've never experienced anything like this in anything else. Like as an adult, it's a straight up community. Like I could say that since doing jiu-jitsu, I've made more new friends since like the 8 or 9 years doing jiu-jitsu than I have probably since I was in high school or college.
Well, the thing about jiu-jitsu is very much, because it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Brazil is, it's a very much of almost like a surfer community. You know what I mean? Like in jiu-jitsu, in Brazil, everybody does jiu-jitsu and everybody surfs.
Yeah.
So I can even understand like in Hawaii, other places where it's a surfer community, it's a very, within the confines of certain things, a welcoming community. So you meet guys, you surf these guys, you surf the waves together, and then you guys kind of talk about different breaks you can go to and other places you can go to, and then you kind of build that bond where you just meet people. You go to an open mat, and next thing you know, you got 6 more Instagram friends.
Sure.
And everybody wants to work with everybody. No one's, again, no one's trying to be the next UFC champ. No one's trying to kill. It's interesting though, because I also tell people that being into jiu-jitsu, you have to be a little bit of a sadomasochist as well.
Yeah, it's
Because you
incredible.
kind of like the pain. You're like, that pain was good, but on a 1 to 10, there was only a 4. If you do that, oh yeah, that's a 6. That's better. You know what I mean? It's weird when you got to kind of embrace that kind of, but when you work with people that way and you trust people that way and you trust that someone's really not trying to hurt you but get better, it brings you together.
Sure.
And the thing about the mat, like one of my favorite sayings, the mats don't lie. If you train a lot, you'll see it on the mat. If you don't train a lot, you see it on the mat. It doesn't matter, how much money you make, how much you don't make, whatever you do. When you're on the mat, it's everybody together. And I think the thing I love about it also therapeutically is the fact that when you're on that mat for an hour and a half, nothing else matters. Your bills, your significant other, nothing else matters because you're fighting for your life. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to life and death, then everything else kind of fades away from the side. Then you realize how exhilarating that is just not to worry about anything else for an hour or 2 hours.
Very few
that's
other
cool.
things to where you go out of your mind like that. to
It
where
is.
You
It's
completely
very
go
few
blank.
where, you can even try meditation. And then when you're breathing, all of a sudden your mind starts drifting.
Yeah.
You
Can't think about shit when someone's
you're
trying to
not
choke
getting,
you
you're getting
out.
somebody's bow and arrow choking. You're not like, did I remember to turn off the stove? You know what I mean? Like, that's not part of the thought process. You know what I mean? You're more like, I think I can survive this. And next thing you know, they're holding up your feet and you're waking up like, oh no, I couldn't have survived that. And I got put to sleep.
How'd you get into it for the first time?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah.
So
You started late, right?
I started martial arts with Taekwondo and everything else like kids do back, when I was like 7 years old. And I've had different series of martial arts and combat arts throughout my whole life. I didn't start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu until I was in my 40s. And actually, coincidentally,
Curtis Hope.
I used to fight on a pro karate team for a while. Miller Lite, Budweiser was our rivals, and
Oh, wow.
it was Miller Lite, Budweiser, American Airlines, John Paul Mitchell. Back in the day when point karate was still the thing.
They had like a
Was it
league?
corporate sponsored?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that was like a big thing for a while.
80s?
Yeah, like the 82, 83. That's how when Billy Blanks was big and,
Okay, yeah.
Superfoot Bill Wallace and all those guys around. So they used to have pro karate teams. And I
Wow.
used to be part of a team called Miller Lite. And a good friend of mine named Anthony Arango, who has a school in
I met him.
So Massapequa, Martial Arts Institute, still there in Broadway. The big Bruce Lee thing in the front with the weird tiki bar and stuff. But him and I were part of the same pro karate team together. And then he got into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with a guy named Gene Dunn and Brian Glick. School called Brooklyn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Brooklyn. So he invited me one day to a seminar. He goes, hey man, Dunn's coming out. He's doing a seminar. Come check it out. Oh, I got a couple black belts, Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Go to the seminar. Learned a couple of things. And afterwards, and now Gene Dunn, the other side of the coin is Gene Dunn is not a small man to begin with. Gene Dunn's probably 6'3", 2 and change, good shape, very nice guy, very gentle. Moved me around like I was a child, and I was like, oh, I'm Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. I had zero answers for anything he did. Probably submitted me the first time, couple of seconds in. Second time, couple of seconds in. Gay, relax. It's okay to be on your back. Survive a little bit longer. Survive a little bit longer. But in essence, he schooled me the whole time. And then we're sitting in Tony's office afterwards. He goes, listen, have you ever really I go, no, I haven't. He goes, the thing about you is that even though you're a trained martial artist, you're open to suggestions. I told you to do something and you did it immediately. When most guys kind of fight that and kind of stick with what they know. He's like, not for nothing. You give it a couple years and you train, you're going to be a problem for a lot of people. Here's where our schools are. Tony comes. You're more than welcome to come down. So Arango and I started going to his academy. The main headquarters is in Avenue U. And Gene Dunn's a Hensel Gracie black belt. But I was going to 13th Avenue. So 13th Avenue was run by a guy named Brian Glick, who I laugh now because back then, no one knew who Glick was. and I used to tell people back then that Glick is like the biggest secret in jiu-jitsu. The guy's amazing. John Danaher, black belt. Anybody who's in jiu-jitsu now knows who John Danaher is. Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin.
Yeah, these guys are stars now.
Glick was his protege from back in the day. And that was my main instructor. You know, and I went there for a class in Brooklyn. Loved it. Tony and I used to carpool. So the other funny joke about jiu-jitsu is like I was so new to the game that I didn't realize there was jiu-jitsu academies like on Long Island. So I was going to 13th Avenue in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn 4 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week.
When was this? What year?
Probably 2001.
Early 2000s.
Yeah. Because I've actually now, like I said, I've been doing it for about 20 some odd years now.
Wow.
I started in my 40s. I'm 62 now. But I was commuting back and forth, training with Glick, and then people would laugh. Like, meanwhile, Matt Sarah's school was in East Meadow, 9 minutes from my house. I drove by 3 other Gracie Bajas. Everyone's like, "Why are you driving away to Brooklyn?" I'm like, I didn't know, but I kind of liked the guy.
Yeah.
You know, and then I stayed with Brian and them until from white belt pretty much to brown belt.
But what he said about how, you know, you knew, but you're open to suggestion. I mean, I think that's like the most powerful thing in like life. And like how could you ever expect to learn anything new, be good at it, get good at anything, like if you don't have that attitude? And I think that's like, I mean, like that's so key in jiu-jitsu. Like you're never gonna make it to square one.
Well, I think that's also the key in life. Look at what you guys do. You guys may be great at what you do, but there's always another look at it or room for improvement.
Always.
But if you sit there and go, "Oh, I already know how to do that," then you're never going to progress.
Yeah.
You know, and human nature wise, we always try to go back to what we're comfortable with. You know, so we also have to, like in jiu-jitsu, learn how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We have to kind of put ourselves out there in different situations where you can still continue to grow. Because as soon as you think that you know it all, you know,
Toast.
Yeah.
life's over because you don't. There's always something new to learn. I mean, I learn something new all the time.
The patience is amazing to see. Like sometimes when I watch you guys back there, like you see the new guys and they're like so amped up and like so like fired up. And then like you guys who have been doing it for so long, it looks like, you know, you're just like patiently waiting for like.
Well, because we've all done it
Yeah.
for so long.
You see so many things.
And also when you're so new at it, nerve sets in.
Oh yeah.
You feel that, you know, I'm a wrestler. I've done this. I'm a stud. You know, I should be able
Expectations
to.
of yourself.
I should be able to do all this right. And you set such lofty expectations, which are good in a way, but then also, I don't expect you to be great. I expect you to show up. We all figure it out at different levels and different times. Just keep showing up. Don't be frustrated because, you know, I'm a D1 wrestler. All right, but I do jiu-jitsu. So after you blast double me and throw me to the ground like a rag doll, now you're back in my world.
Mm.
You know, now you have to slow down to grab me, and now I'm going to sweep you, and then I'm going to punish you. So, you know what I mean? So I think, well, that's kind of what, you know, sometimes, you know what it is? You have to be like, it's funny because you're always like, take a deep breath, slow down, you know, I'm an old man, take the time. You know, but inherently we're like, I'm going to, you know, square peg, round hole, I'm going to make this work. And I'm like, it's not going to work. You know, and then when you sweep them, then you're like, okay, now let me show you what slow, controlled pressure can really feel like without the use of strength.
Yeah.
And that's when they're like, oh my God, this is so tight. Yeah, that's the way. And then once they figure that out, then they'll start to kind of, the more you do it, the better you get. And then the more you can slow down and not be so nervous.
Right.
But that happens at so many levels because if you look at like, we may be calm here, but then when you go to competition, it's right back to the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, you could be a brown belt or purple belt and you're calm here. And then when you go to a competition, now you have a crowd watching you, your family's watching you, all those outside things that make you nervous. And then they're back to back being white belts.
And now you got expectations again.
Yeah, then they're back to being white belts and they're going crazy. You're like, slow down, calm down,
Yeah.
go back to your game, take a deep breath.
There are people that are amazing in the gym, but then when they go out there, they completely fucking crumble. Completely
It's
crumble.
weird where, well, listen, and that's in any sports. Why do you think they got sports psychologists all the time? You know what I mean? You can be an NFL player, you can be an NBA player, and it happens to all of them. You know, so Jiu Jitsu doesn't corner the market on it, but it happens so much where you see a guy that's like, or a girl that's like, oh, savage, this is going to be ugly. And then all of a sudden, the
Breakdown.
tentative, and
Yeah.
you're like, you would normally kill me in that position. What happened? You know, they let those nerves get
Is
to
it
them.
kind of like chess,
It's definitely
where you have moves planned out until they do something or something?
So
to that
Jiu Jitsu is
effect?
called kinetic chess. It is, it's the ultimate chess game
Okay.
where I'm probably as you get higher in the rankings, you're 3 or 4 or 5 moves ahead of whatever everyone else is doing.
That's what it's like
Yeah.
going with him. He's
And-
always
And that's what
many steps ahead.
that's what makes it so difficult, but that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so cerebral, where Jesse will be doing something to me and I'll laugh. I'm like, first of all, I'm the one that taught it to you. So cut it out. You know? And then like, I'm not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe trick because I'm the one that taught you that. You know what I mean? But he'll know the counter to my counter, which means I'll have to have a counter to his counter.
Yes.
So when he's trying to counter something else, I'm already 3 more moves ahead. It only depends on if he does what he's supposed to do, which I will then counter. So here's where the weird thing is with like lower belts. And I love lower belts. Because they'll do something that is so counterintuitive that I'll have to rethink my whole strategy.
That's good.
Like by mistake.
No,
Yes.
seriously.
Like spazzy
Seriously.
or just
That is
unorthodox.
That's it. And those are the things where I pick up and I learn so much more because they'll do something that is so unorthodox and unprecedented. I was like, oh, that was
fuck was
interesting.
that?
That was kind of sexy. How do I, you know what I mean? Then I have to really rethink my game. But here's the other side of the coin. He may do something that's very unorthodox and almost catch me. I may want to take that and improve my game and throw that in and fine tune that where I can catch someone else. Because someone else may not expect that either. But if I can kind of, as I always say, take it apart and put it back together and reverse engineer it and figure out the little things that he didn't do properly, I can then use that later on and I'll, in a competition, and I'll totally catch somebody off guard from something that I picked up from training with the lower belts.
That's cool.
Which I think sometimes people feel that you have to always train with black belts. You can learn from anyone. I look at like Rafael Lovato Jr., who's a savage, very famous guy, has his headquarters in Oklahoma City. When he first opened his doors, all he had was blues and purples, and he was winning world championships. You know what I mean? I mean, for me, I very rarely get to train with outside of probably Brazil. So if I go to London, there's a couple of black belts I train with. Italy, the same. I get my most exposure to black belt levels when I go to Brazil. When I go to like De La Riva headquarters.
When are we going?
So that's the Mecca trip.
John wants to bring a camera. He
That's
says
the
we got to make a documentary of this
That trip
guy.
is the Mecca trip that post-COVID I haven't been able to do. Pre-COVID, we were going at least once a year.
Wow.
Once every other year. And it's crazy because it's literally fly Saturday, arrive Sunday, stay to the following Saturday and leave.
Fly Saturday, arrive Sunday. Where are we going? Where are you going?
Brazil.
Oh my God.
So then
that,
when we do,
16 hours?
I would book it through Travelocity.
God.
Like flight, hotel with breakfast included, walking distance to the academy was like $1,400 for the week.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's dirt for Brazil.
Yeah.
The first time we did, we're like, there's no way. Either the flight's going to be terrible. I tried to rent this van to take us to the hotel. The hotel's going to be terrible. It was a perfect trip.
Nice.
It was a perfect trip. And me and my training partner, John Poulos, we flew on a Saturday. We arrived Sunday morning. My buddy Leo picked us up, hung out the beach all day Sunday.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Where the butt's at.
Yeah,
You know?
Sunday. That's the thing. So the funny story with John Poulos, the first time we did it, we stayed awake the whole flight from Brazil, and it's like some astronaut. What's it, 12 hours?
That's
whatever
what I'm
it
thinking.
is.
It's got to
Yeah,
be like
a 12-hour
13, something
flight.
like that.
Landed
doesn't
in
like to
Rio at like 6 a.m. Hadn't slept the whole flight. my buddy picked us up, took us to the hotel. We went right to Baja de Juca, went to the beach.
Nice.
No one on the beach
Ah.
at 8 o'clock in the morning. We woke up probably noon. There was thousands of people on the beach, and we slept through all these. We woke up, we were like, where did all these people come from? They're everywhere. We hung out the beach all day long, went to dinner, went to bed to get ready for De La Riva's class Monday morning. My buddy Leo calls me, Gay, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Why? He goes, I woke up and I've got a little sunburn and I'm from Brazil. So I was like, all right. So I go and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, oh, I'm not too bad. Poor John Poulos, who, he's going to kill me for this story now. So he's Costa Rican, his dad is Greek. So he's...
Yeah.
It's got some flavor in him.
Yeah.
He had like sun poisoning
Ooh.
on his whole head, his whole back, to where parts of the skin were starting to flap off.
Oh, God.
And he still went to train on that Monday.
Oh,
He trained?
man.
He trained the whole week.
That's gangster.
First of all, I'm going, oh,
Shout out to John Poulos.
I'm like, it's not that bad, right? We get to the academy, they're like, oh, Boha John, what happened to you?
Wow.
He trained that whole week
Wow.
with flaps of skin on his body and his head.
I love John Poulos, man.
Oh,
Shit,
John, so...
That's big.
It's a different kind of sun there. You're like closer to the sun
And the
somehow.
thing we
You can almost
learned,
touch it.
and the thing we learned for one of our first trips there is we did 2-a-days, Monday through Friday. By Wednesday, all we were doing was sucking down Motrin and sleeping because we were just so beat up from training in the morning, training at night. Plus, it was the beginning of the summertime, so it's hot, it's humid, it was miserable.
Yeah.
So now we've adjusted it. So now the new mecca is, because I brought my cousin and a bunch of guys. So it was just John and I the first time. The second time we went, there was like 8 of us. Same flights, same hotels, worked out well. Bring sunscreen, still Sunday on the beach. Monday we only do the morning class, and I'll explain the morning class to you. And then sightsee the rest of the day on Monday. Same thing on Tuesday. So then you're getting acclimated to the weather, humidity, and the training. By Wednesday, then we just do 2-a-days. And we go through the rest of the time like that. So back to the morning class at De La Riva headquarters, which my first experience was my buddy Leo, who's a security guy who works with me, 5th degree De La Riva black belt.
De La Riva for you guys is like one of the fucking founders of the art.
So there's a guard named after him. The De La Riva guard is named after Master De La Riva, who I got my black belt from him in Brazil while training in Brazil.
Anderson Silva's instructor, like
Yes.
major guy in
He's the guy.
in the sport.
And he's one of those guys who still lives in Brazil. Didn't,
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Didn't move anywhere else. Still
It's like
lives
a
with his
Tory
family
Hanzo
in
from
Brazil.
Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So the morning classes is the affiliate class, which means all of his other black belts who have their own schools, they train with him in the morning and they train at their own schools in the afternoon. So talking about black belt exposure,
To every Brazilian badass fucking
the morning
land.
class, the minimal degree of a black belt in there is probably a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt, and there are probably 15 to 20 of them.
Wow.
So when I was started to really compete heavily and I wanted to get ready for the world championships, I did my regular camp here in the States, and then I did my last 2 weeks in Brazil, rolling with the teams every day, and just 20 black belts. They show up in the morning, we train all day. I would sleep, go back for the afternoon training session, and then I just did that.
Bro, do some sightseeing, Have a couple empanadas or
Sunday.
something.
Well, no,
you know?
so now that's Monday half the day and Tuesday. Because listen, it's Rio. So you go to Christ the Redeemer, you go to Sugarloaf, you go to Copacabana Beach, then you're done.
Well, I can tell you,
I find some other things to do.
if I come with you on the next one,
I would just be on the beach.
almost no way I'm doing 2-a-days.
Well, no, but still, Monday and Tuesday.
Maybe once.
Monday and Tuesday are definitely one of the days. By Wednesday,
You conditioned?
yeah, you
Okay.
conditioned, you understand the pace, and it's really the humidity that just kills you. you know. And then once you do, so here's the other thing too. When you train at De La Riva's, he comes in the morning. You do a stretch out. There's not a lot of calisthenics involved. He teaches 2 techniques, and then you train and you roll. But what he does, he puts everybody against the wall, and then
Just calls you out.
he'll pick guys.
Oof.
So he'll see you're a purple belt. He'll put you with one of his purple belts, or he'll put you with a lighter black belt. He'll never set you up for failure.
Yeah.
He'll see how you're doing with your win. You'll see how you're doing with this. You know, you'll get one in. Okay, Justin, you good? Yeah. Stay out there. He'll give you someone else.
Yeah.
If he finds that
Scale it
you're
up.
pretty advanced, he'll give you someone else. If he sees you're tired, he'll take one back. If you're tired, you want to rest one, like he'll look at you and you'll be like, he'll let you not train. Hence, when I was training for the Worlds, he wouldn't let me take a break. He gave me the toughest guys. I was a nail for everyone. It was like a prison love scene. It was like one after another. And wait, I wouldn't even make eye contact. Like in between, I try not to look at him, and he'd be like, "Gay, no, you must go." I'm like, really? You know what I mean? And like he would do me a favor and give me a lighter guy who's like a 6-degree black belt who would kill me anyway. So I'm like, you're really doing me no favor. Oh, he's smaller, but come on. Master, you're killing me with this. So that's the kind of funny thing. But he'll kind of, so if you're tired, he'll gauge it and he won't, because he wants it, again, jiu-jitsu to be a good experience.
Yeah.
You know, we never want anyone to walk away and be like, that was terrible.
So when we going?
I know we are.
All right.
Oh, that's done. I just got so busy. This year got busy with me because my daughter's about to graduate from college. I've got a family trip that my wife's got me taking them to Italy for God knows. Hang out again before my kids get too old to get over us. You know, come on, they're in college already, so we got like one more in before they're over us.
Yeah.
So this year it's kind of become a wash, but I'm telling you, save your money. 2025.
Ready.
We'll bring the families.
Yeah.
I've got a new place for us to stay. De La Riva's got a new, because that's the other thing too. My wife has never been to Brazil, and I go all the time. So I need to bring her along, let her have some time. You can bring the family, train in the morning, then we can do stuff in the afternoon.
That's cool.
No, it's the people are great. I know people are like, oh my God, it's dangerous. Don't go there. You're gonna get stabbed and robbed.
Everywhere's
I'm
dangerous
like,
if you're looking for trouble.
yeah, I'm from Wyandanch. I'm like, that's around the corner. What are you talking about? I was like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be something new? I'm like, I thought that was part of the mosaic. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, that's the norm.
You were telling us out there a couple of weeks ago, or it was a couple months ago, whatever, that you were thinking about like doing a bunch of competitions in 1 year, like one a month.
So here's my conundrum a lot of times. When you compete, especially in the IBJJF, everything is point-based. You know, first place, second place, third place, you get a certain amount of points a year for that particular event.
I mean, cumulative over,
Yes,
gotcha,
over the
like
year.
rankings.
Right.
For a full year.
For a
Yeah,
full
yeah.
year.
Okay.
Problem is for me, since I work so much, I really don't compete a lot. So I may do, like I've only started doing the Europeans the last 2 years. You know, before that I would only do like either the Pans or the Worlds, and maybe like a New York Open or a Connecticut Open as a warm-up because I just don't have the time. I started last couple of years doing the Europeans because they've been in Paris. And Paris is a great city. I love Paris, so it's been working out well that I can do that. So I did the Europeans this year, and I'll do the Worlds this year.
So
Even with the lack of me competing a lot, I'm probably right now ranked in the top 6 in the world. Meanwhile, there's others that are above me, but they get to compete a lot more. So my ultimate goal, and that's what we were speaking about before, and I'm just trying to figure out between my work schedule and finances, everything else, I want to hit all the really big major tournaments in 1 year.
How many of those are there?
Like the Europeans, the Asian Open, the London Open, the Australian Open, the Pans, and the Worlds, probably 6.
That's cool.
But there's also no-gi versions to a lot of these tournaments as well. See, I got greedy 1 year, and I fought in the Worlds and the no-gi Worlds, which is, you know, different art, same art, which I did well in. It was
Megan knows gi and no gi.
Yeah, what's better, no gi or gi?
You might know her
What do we
uncle.
like?
What,
yeah, I was gonna say I
her
know a
uncle's
lot
a
of
black
what
belt
you're-
at Kyoto.
What's your uncle's
Yeah.
name?
Dan Godsky.
Dan Dotsky.
Yeah, he's ranked like
But I do
12th.
know Kyoto guys.
Yeah.
I know a bunch
yeah,
of them.
he teaches over there.
Really? Because listen,
Yes.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Milton Regis, who's the head of Kyoto. I'm a big fan of his work. He's a big old Brazilian, technical. No, listen. Who's over there? He's over there. John, Long Island Jiu Jitsu.
Those are the guys that do the Long Island
Those are the
Jiu-Jitsu
guys from
network,
Kyoto.
yeah.
But the head guy, Milton Regis, I'm a fan of his work. Yeah, I mean, listen,
yeah,
I'm
he's
a
been
jiu-jitsu
there
fan.
for like 20 years.
Yeah, I've got no problem telling people I'm a fan of jiu-jitsu.
I was on a plane back from Orlando, and the Pans were there a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And I was sitting next to somebody who knew you. It was this woman who trains at Soka's. She's older, but Brazilian, from Brazil. Says she's been training since she's like 2 years old.
Okay.
Married to another guy that's a black belt. It was like a couple. They were married, and they were both jiu-jitsu people from Soka. And I mentioned you. She said,
It wasn't
"Yeah,
Soka's wife?
It wasn't Soka's wife.
Okay.
It wasn't Soka's wife. But I mentioned you. She said,
I mean,
"Yeah,
the
know him."
community, I mean, I think the Long Island
Everybody knows
Jiu-Jitsu
him.
community is big and small. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
the competition scene,
I even think the
is-
national community is small.
it is. I mean, when you start to know people and you start to compete, and then social media,
Yeah.
has become the big platform for us to be able to come together even more as a jiu-jitsu community. Where when I met in the train with Mikey, now Mikey follows me. I follow Mikey Musumeci, who is like one championship, champion. The guy's a savage. He's about this big.
It was on
You
Joe
know.
Rogan, like major star.
Yeah,
Like,
he's a major star.
major
And then
celebrity.
I trained in his garage. Now we always follow each other and we always talk and we always and you always want to support everybody in the jiu-jitsu community.
What do you compete on? Belt color or age?
So,
Both.
so you compete on weight,
Wait.
belt color, and age. So I used to fight at heavyweight. So I walk around off season, 225, 230. And then I was dropping down to 202 to fight.
Okay.
When I hit 60, I was like, I'm going to stop. It's just purgatory to make 202. You know what I mean? I'm just like, if you want to eat a little bit more, if you want to cut back on cardio, but you got to watch it. I mean, I got to worry about how much my gi weighs and how much I weigh. And
Every bite of food is a fucking liability.
And then I've had experiences where I've had to make weight. Like I think John was with me, and I was at the Pans one year, I think, in LA, and I was just about on weight, and we went up for sashimi and sushi, and I used soy sauce, and I was 6 pounds heavier
Jesus.
Whoa.
with 1 day to go.
And you probably didn't even think of that for a second.
No,
'Cause
got
I
back to
wouldn't
the
have.
hotel, hung around, said, "Oh, that wasn't bad." Stood on the scale. I was like, "What?" And we literally went out to CVS, got bags of Epsom salt. Between Epsom salt baths, riding on the bike, sleeping with every piece of clothing on to break a sweat, and then going to the sauna, I dropped 10 pounds
In 1 day.
in 1 day.
It's wild.
And the thing about the IBJJF, which is different than, say, like wrestling or UFC, everything else, like in the UFC, you weigh in, you make weight, but you don't fight till the next
Yeah,
day.
you got a day.
So now you rehydrate, blah, blah, blah. And these guys walking, looking 15 pounds
Yeah.
heavier. IBJJF, they weigh you in and check your gi or your no gi stuff
An hour before.
right before your
Yeah.
right before your first fight.
Yeah.
So you'll be in the fighter's pen. They'll call my name. I show my ID. I stand on the scale. They check my gi, and then they walk you to your first match.
Damn.
So I was miserable. I actually did well, but the funny thing is, I vaguely remember my first match.
Oh, scary.
That's how bad it was.
That's
I
not
was
good.
sucked out. I was like this. All of a sudden, I remember walking onto the mat, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm on top." And then I was like, "Stay on top, stay on top." Yeah, and then
when you came to.
both my forearms were cramped up in between matches. They're massaging out it was miserable.
That's a dangerous thing, right? That's like a big thing. In the
It
world.
is.
It's
And
like-
you know what? And at 60 years of age, I'm not making $1 million off of this. I need to stop that. I'm not going to kill myself anymore.
Yeah.
So then I went up two weight brackets, which is amazing now. So I can just kind of eat, train, lift, and not have to worry about, because now I fight ultra heavy. So I fight 230 and above.
Jesus Christ, that's all.
How wide are the?
I'd have to.
Yeah,
fight
Kurt, you're in the ultra heavy
mega,
division.
So there's
mega
heavy,
heavy.
super heavy, and ultra heavy.
What's after that?
That's it.
Nothing. You can't play.
Right. So I
You
fight
can't play.
So I fight the big. I like the David Goliath now because I'm like, I'll walk in, but I'll still train the same way I do. So I'll walk in at 222.
Yeah.
So technically, I could cut down some weight and make to the one division below. But I'm like, no,
I'm not
I
gonna
don't want
bother
to.
with it.
What's the
I'll
heaviest
just-
guy you ever went with? 260.
255. The guy from
That's so big.
at the Europeans last year.
Ain't that big.
From like,
I know.
I want to say he was
Shut
from
up,
like
Jesse.
Lithuania.
Okay.
And he was just like big belly, big man. But the advantage is speed,
Yeah.
endurance, good jiu-jitsu, and hopefully he doesn't end up on top of you. Because if he's on top of you,
Because that shit sucks.
there you go.
That
You
shit
know.
sucks.
And especially and for our matches, it's only a 5-minute match, so time is not always your friend. So if you're on top of me and I have 4 minutes to work from under you, I might be able to do it. But if you're on top of me and it's 2 minutes, it's probably not going to happen.
Before Soccer Free closed, he got in a couple classes.
It was.
He got in a couple classes.
And
We
what
got
happened?
some video.
I don't know. Those forward rolls are rough.
I think it's a
But
pretty
he jumped right in. No
say.
questions asked.
Pretty
no
sure.
questions asked.
Pretty sure it contributed to my hernia. But, you know,
Well, because you know what? Because there's an art to that too. Believe it or not, forward rolling, backward rolling, all that's an art form. And believe it or not, it'll serve you well as you get older. Trust
Sure.
me. Because when you're an old man and you start to fall forward, it's kind of nice
Oh,
if
yeah.
you know how to break your fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's huge.
It'll come back to you.
For sure.
Slip on the ice and you fall back, and now you're gonna know not to reach.
Well, you read that book about like primal movements and stuff, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of it.
yeah,
Just being
there's a
able to
lot
like
about that.
get up and
Get up
off
and
the
down
ground
without
like,
your
without
hands.
too much use of your.
yeah.
Which is so funny again as I'm always as you get older, because I remember when you're young and you hear like, oh, so and so fell and broke a hip, so you're like, how the hell did that happen? Until you get old,
Oh yeah.
then you realize, oh, I get that really well, because I find even for me, or as we get older, my back and forward is very good, but when I go left to right, you can see how you can start to tilt
Yeah.
and then go down like Frazier. You're like, oh, I'm about to fall, and then you got to brace. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Then it's like a lack of muscle. You know,
It's
like
just where
that's really what it is.
that's what it is.
You know.
And if you don't work on those things, it can haunt you. Hence, now back to jiu-jitsu, even for my age bracket, if you know, a lot of the times we can topple guys because we take them to the side. I can't drag you down and push you back, but if I get you going to the left and right,
Yeah.
they start to kind of tilt, and they can get them going over, and then they'll fall.
Well, Kurt's going to Disney World. And wait, Kurt, before anybody got here, he said, I made
hate
myself
that
a
you're saying
promise.
this right now. You
He
weren't
said, I
supposed to say
made,
that loud.
he said, I made myself a promise that I'm going to get back in shape. I think
Back in shape. I'm just gonna
Gonna
get in shape.
I think we got to get Kurt out there.
His back.
He
What's
started
your
when he was
plan?
40-something.
Not
No.
jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
That's not my plan.
But wait, but you can
Jiu-jitsu.
start. I mean, yeah, you also can't.
I'm gonna come on the
I also
Thursday.
tell people. I also tell
Maybe
people,
Orange Theory.
You can never gauge. You can never gauge by me. That's the other thing. I also.
That's true, that's
I also
true.
make that caveat.
That is true.
Maybe start out with a
Really
cleanse.
Gauge by me. Yeah, because I started jiu-jitsu when I was 40. I was a career martial artist before that.
And this.
Yeah, you have the skill.
I was an Army Ranger for a long time. I was a New York State Trooper for 20 years.
Jesus Christ.
An instructor at the academy. I taught physical training and defensive tactics.
Guys live 9 different lives than
no,
me
really.
already.
So you can't really. I always tell people you really can't use me as a true gauge of
know.
what you should be able to
When
do.
all of us are by
at
ourselves and we
40-some
talk
years
about
old.
that, we're all like, yeah, man, fucking gay can do it. And everybody looks at each other and we're like, yeah, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there is a process and a road for you as well. I mean, there's a road for everyone. It's just, it's time, it's dedication.
Well, for a guy who's been training physically his whole life, what do you think this guy should, what should he do? He's got to make a move. What do you
How
think he
much
should
time do you
start
have?
with?
What do you mean? How much time
Here's
do I
the
have?
thing.
Am I dying?
So first of all,
How much
No,
time
in
you
a
got
day.
to put?
Oh, I don't have
because
any time.
you said Disney. When you go to Disney, like next week, you're out of luck.
Oh, yeah. yeah. I'm going in 2 days.
Why is that?
Go
Why
to
is that the
Disney.
thing that's making you want to do it?
What?
Like going to
Because when he's in
Disney.
a t-shirt,
No.
he doesn't want to,
Yeah.
he wants to look good.
Oh,
I
I
already
know.
know that I'm going to look bad there, so when I come back, I'd like to look better.
Okay.
All right.
I need to lose weight.
Where do you, a
and
guy
get in
like this,
shape.
where does a guy like this start?
The first thing, listen, all about weight is diet. It's
Yeah, I gotta stop
food
eating
come
crap.
shops. It's non-processed food. Cut back on the alcohol. Eat clean. It's sometimes a little boring, and you also have to still be able to inject certain times where you're gonna do certain things. But I can show you guys people who work out all the time. But if they eat crappy and they don't get enough sleep and they don't get enough water, you're taking 2 steps forwards and 1 step back every time. So first it's really cleaning up what you eat. Then you have to figure out an activity, and whether it's walking, walk, do something more than either be home on the couch, be home around the house.
I used to run, but my legs got heavy.
Yeah, but as you get older, your knees get bad. That's why go for a walk. Listen, your knees get bad, blah, blah, blah. Go for a walk. I mean, I've had knee surgery. So I've had knee surgery. I've had shoulder surgery. I've had bicep surgery. I've had a misdiagnosed appendix.
Can you tell the helicopter story?
I was going to say, you performed those surgeries on yourself,
on
right?
myself, yeah. Some of my injuries were based when I was in the military and stuff like that. Which Jesse knows I can talk about when we're not like that. But I'm not. Listen, I'm not trying to have some guys come in with suits and drag me out like, oh, did you
look
not
into the
sign
light.
this a million years ago to go to the grave with this? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be that guy. It probably wouldn't happen, but I'd be the guy it happened to. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, I was like, come on, that was 25 years ago. There was no expiration on this.
Men in the suits.
This is, I will not confirm or deny any operation I've ever been involved in. So that's forever.
Yeah, don't do that.
Signed in your blood, you know what I mean? That's the funniest thing because, you do kind of have to take, but you do kind of take that blood oath. And then
Yeah, man. That's
the funny thing is then you like when I was in the military, which much to my wife's chagrin was probably some of the best times of my life. My wife hated everything about it. My wife is from Europe. My wife is a pacifist. And just like I'm the ultimate Jiu Jitsu guy, when I was in the military, I was the ultimate military guy as well. I was like,
you went in.
Play hard, drink hard, break stuff. That was my whole mantra. That was it. Like, if you guys get in a bar fight, we better be bringing up, bail money for everybody. There better not be one guy. It's all the guy. I was a horror. I was literally a horror show. I'd be home drunk and my guys would call up and I have to send my wife to go pick up my drunk buddies and bring them back to the apartment because I couldn't drive myself. She's an angel. That's why we're still together. I'm like, whatever you want, wherever you want to live. You want to go to Italy? Let's go. I can't even complain. I'm like, whatever you want to do, I can't complain. You've earned those rights. But even like when I was in the military then, we really don't talk about stuff. So it's all inward. And then, you get around a barbecue with a bunch of the guys and the wives and then the guys start drinking. And then they start talking, and then you're like,
no.
Cut it out.
My God, when the bullets were flying.
Yeah.
And the wives are like, no, babe, what? Stop. Don't pay attention to these guys.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, it's pretty funny sometimes.
It was boring.
It was boring. It was training. Oh, my God. I mean, I got like a mosquito bite. That's all that happened to me.
You were Army Ranger, airborne, right? Paratrooper, jumping out of airplanes and shit.
Oh, my God.
I was in 1st Ranger Battalion, 100 Army Airfield, Savannah, Georgia. The best kept secret in the world. Because I went to the Rangers, because I used to rock climb and all this other stuff. So I wanted to go to 2nd Battalion, which is up in...
Kurt, you can start fucking walking, bro.
I mean, seriously.
Which is up in Fort Lewis.
It's ridiculous.
So the funny story about when I was with the Rangers, I was actually older. I was like in my 30s.
Okay.
Running around with kids 18, 19 years old. So again, you can never gauge by me because I'm just a kook. You know what it is? And I always tell people, no matter what I've done in my life, it's never dawned on me that I couldn't do something.
Right.
It's never been my thought process. If you tell me you got to march for 100 miles, all right, it sucks.
Have you failed at something?
Don't jinx me, man. I can't. I mean,
no, but within the 6 to 0. Not
you know what? I just had a conversation with a guy today that, God forbid, if I was about to die tomorrow, I could not complain. I can't.
Right.
I've had great careers. I've had great lives. I've had great family. You know what I mean? I can't. I really.
You've lived like 13 lifetimes.
I really
Seriously,
honestly
fucking-
can't. I could not complain and be like, oh, they did me wrong and, this didn't happen. No. I'm like, I was a kid who, I'm from Wyandanch originally. My parents were smart enough to send me away to boarding school because they didn't want me to stay in Wyandanch, which was an amazing thing for them to do. Thank you both. They're in heaven, but thank you still. You know what I mean? But went to private school and then, state police, the military. I work in the private sector now. I've lived a charmed life.
So state police before the military.
Yes.
So you got bored being a cop.
No, so
You got
no.
It's like, let's go jump out of airport.
Let's go jump out of here.
No, seriously. So I went to private military school. So you know what Ohika Castle?
Yeah.
That used to be my school. That was called Eastern Military Academy.
Really?
Wow.
Back in the day of military schools was
Wow.
Eastern Military Academy and LaSalle Military Academy.
I remember
that one.
LaSalle.
Yeah.
Parents used to threaten you.
So
like,
LaSalle.
you don't get your shit
so
together,
those-
you're going to
They were our
LaSalle.
rivals, Eastern and LaSalle. That was our rivals. So I went to military school my whole life. And I'm always kind of like, you hear guys could have done that. I could do this. I could do that. I could be special forces. I can jump out of planes. I'm not that kind of guy, but life took me another direction. I got heavy into martial arts, blah, blah, blah. Went to the state police. Instructor at the academy. I was on our tactical team. I was on the response team, banging doors. Had a great life.
Mm.
Desert Storm starts.
No.
I literally, one day, while on patrol, I was up in Troop F, SP Palisades.
Went to the office.
Drove to the recruiters
Wow.
in full uniform, in full pack. Walked in and was like, yeah, I want to sign up.
Like on a whim. Like no
Yeah.
Because you were
real.
mad.
Yeah, no, just kind of like,
You wanted to do something.
this is
You felt called to do
what I
it.
felt I should do, and this is what I always had in my path. Like, okay. And I literally walked in the recruiter. And they're like, oh, okay, you want to be an MP? You would go to reserve? I'm like, no.
Special forces.
I want active duty. I want 11 X-ray. I want to go to Ranger Regiment. Can you make this happen?
Yeah, I want to go to the top of the mountain,
Wait,
please.
can you make this happen? And the recruiter, and it's funny because the recruiter's like, they'll sign you up for anything. Yeah, sure. Start to sign my life away.
And you're with your wife at this
Oh,
point.
no. Oh, my wife and I were dating. We weren't
Okay.
even married.
All right.
So I then have to let the state police know that I'm going to leave, do all this stuff. Now, in the meantime, my recruiter becomes a friend of mine. Now he's like, you don't really have to do this. Because now he's looking at my life. He's like, wait a minute. You're a trooper, you're a SWAT guy, you're a DT instructor, and you want to do this? Oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. To the day I literally swore in, he tried to talk me out of it.
Wow.
He's like, dude,
Wow.
you're living the life that we're all trying to live when we get out. And I was like, nope, this is what I want to do. And I literally turned in all my state police gear. They put it all in storage. I was dating my wife. I was like, listen, I get it. If you don't want to wait, I don't blame you.
I
If
gotta
the
leave
roles-
for a little
if the
while.
roles are reversed, I probably wouldn't, but this is what I'm going to do. And I literally left and went through the whole process.
And you
Basic
went
training.
straight to the Ranger track?
No,
like,
I went to basic training.
Yeah.
I went to infantry school. I went to airborne school. I went to the Ranger indoctrination program, which you can volunteer for. So now when I went to basic training, I'm the oldest guy there. I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
wow.
Drill sergeants thought I was undercover with CID. Because the first day out the bus, they're running around yelling at people. But again, I've been instructed at the academy. I came from a military school, so I know how the game is played. And literally, finally, one day, this guy, Drill Sergeant Stanley, walks by. He's like, how old are you? And I'm
He's
like,
calling you
30,
sir.
Drill Sergeant. And now they all just start swarming. Like, you can't, no, get on and start doing push-ups. So I'm just, this is child's play to me.
This is a movie.
And then,
Seriously.
2 days later, they call me into their office and a bunch of drill sergeants there. And they're like, we have to ask you a question. Yeah, drill sergeant, are you CID? No. You know that if we ask you, you're supposed to tell us. Yeah, I'm aware of that. How would you know that if you're not CID?
That's funny.
I was like, yeah, literally, I was like, I was a cop. What do you mean I was a cop? And then I kind of told my background. And they're like, why are you here? I'm like, that's what I wanted to do. They're like, all right, you're in charge. They mess up, we're coming to you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was kind of like the guy through basic training, infantry school. When I got to airborne school, they were like, yeah, we already heard about you. You know, when I got to the Ranger Indoctrination Program, they're like, oh, yeah, we know who you are.
Airborne is like step 1 to the Ranger track.
Well, you can go airborne and go to another unit.
Okay.
But if you're gonna go end up in Ranger Regiment, you gotta be airborne qualified.
And airborne is you're going to be like jumping out of planes,
Yeah, jumping
doing
out of
missions.
planes. Jumping out of planes. Yep. Jumping out of planes.
So did you,
Megan loves planes. She loves
love
planes. She loves the aviation world.
so
Yeah.
did you ever go to Desert Storm? Like on that?
No,
No?
because I was by that time I was still in training. You know, but then, you know, we deployed later on, but I was still kind of in training at that time. And then I went right to Ranger school. No, that's not true. So they sent me to the Ranger Regiment. So back to, I wanted to go to 2nd Battalion because I like to climb. So when I put in my choice, because I was an honor graduate when I got out of, you know, all the other schools, and RIP, which is a Ranger Indoctrination Program, they called me and goes, you do not want to go to 2nd Battalion. They're like, it rains all the time. It's Seattle. It's no fun. Go to 1st Battalion. It's on the beach. It's the East Coast. My dad at the time lived in Hamptons, Virginia. My sister was living down in Jacksonville. They're like, go to 1st Battalion. Hunter Army Airfield, beach PT. Oh, it was amazing being there. It was amazing being there. And then my wife got married. Then my wife and I got married.
Wow.
My wife and I went back up. She was living in Albany. I went to Albany, got married, left her, came back down. She had to pretty much pack up the apartment.
Wow.
And with a buddy of mine, drive all our stuff down to Savannah, Georgia. Yeah.
That's cool.
Best days of my life, though. I loved the Army. I loved everything about it. I'm actually getting ready to go to I'm going to a reunion in May.
And you guys jump?
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We do water jumps. A bunch of old guys.
What do you mean? You jump out of a plane into the water?
Yeah. We did it last year.
You could walk.
Into a crocodile. They were breeding on the sides.
What?
A crocodile infested lake.
Oh my god.
We jumped.
This feels fake.
It does feel fake.
Yeah, so no, we jump in. So now, my other conundrum is, I jumped last year. I'm getting ready for the Worlds.
You thinking maybe you're not going to do it?
So if I don't do it, then I'm going to sponsor one of the other guys who can't afford to do it.
Okay.
Let him go do it.
To do the jump.
Yeah.
What's the oldest guy that's going to jump out of that plane? 80s?
There was a guy last year had to be probably in his 80s. Wow. There was a guy last year probably in his 80s. There was a guy, younger guy, double amputee, jumped with his dog in between his legs. Yeah, it was slick. Jumped with his dog in between his legs, jumped out.
How long do you guys get together for? Like a weekend?
Yeah, it's actually Thursday through Sunday.
That's got to be a great time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Because you all got everything in common. Like
It's a couple hundred of the most dangerous people on
it's
earth.
just so fun, man. Because we're
gonna jump out of the
now we're
airplane.
a bunch of old guys, and we just, so it's actually, we're really excited about it because a buddy of mine, Ed, I just booked my flights actually yesterday. So I just sent him the information, so he's going to book around the same time. So we'll get a rental, we'll drive down, we'll land in Orlando, and we got to go to Lake Dora, Tavares, Florida, which we did it last year as well.
And it's probably such a diverse range of like all the guys like where they went to after the military. You probably have guys that are on like boards of directors, guys that like
So
have like
that's
a coffee shop.
That's the craziest thing because I won't tell too many stories, but I got guys who are like bosses.
Yeah.
And I remember when we used to put like trash bags on them and tape it around them because they used to pee themselves when they were so drunk. Wait, no. You had guys that were famous for blacking out and then peeing on themselves. So we would put trash bags on them and duct tape it around them. So
And
they
now
wouldn't
this guy's
pee
like
in
the
your
CEO of
car.
Pepsi.
Now the guy's like a boss, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
You know, I'm a special agent in charge.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, dude, I know you
Yeah,
used to pee in yourself in the car. What are you talking about? It's the funniest thing that
That's amazing.
everybody's grown. Everybody's,
amazing.
you know, some of these kids I knew when they were 21, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's great.
You know, where they weren't even old enough, back in those days, they weren't even old enough to drink, but you can go to combat.
Right.
And when you come from that pedigree, like the opportunities are big afterwards, right? Like when you have that pedigree in terms of special forces at that level.
It depends. I mean, depends on where you're going to go and what you're going to do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's still certain skill trades involved.
Sure.
So it all depends on, are you going to go private security?
Sure.
Are you going to go PMC? Or are you going to go work for a government agency? You know, a lot of guys, you know, I was kind of fortunate in a weird way because I took a 5-year military leave from the state police. I almost didn't come back. 2 reasons why. One, because my wife was ready to kill me in my sleep. So that was one of the main things.
Yeah.
But also at the time, Clinton was in office and they were starting to cut back on the military and changing military budgets. And what they were also doing at the time, they were trying to take specialized soldiers and then put you back into the regular army to help uplift the regular army. So you could be an Army Ranger, but then they're going to send you to become a drill instructor. If I could have known that I could have stayed in the community that I had started in, I might not have come back.
Different path.
Right. But with that not being guaranteed, I could just easily go back to the state police and then finish my SP career, which is what I did.
How did you find your way to the entertainment industry? How did that start?
So totally of not what you know, but who you know. So back in the 70s, I know, almost aging myself. Back in the 70s, a buddy of mine, Al.
That's all right. My body's older than yours, so it doesn't matter.
I had a good friend of mine, Al. I'm not even sure how I first met Al. And Al and I are still friends to this day. But Al from Long Island was like the club guy. He used to work security everywhere, like OBI, Summers,
OBI,
you know, Ann Vines, you know, all these old clubs, you know, Levels, 112, all these. Al was dialed into everything. And Al used to run security there. So he knew, like myself and a bunch of other guys, that he would always hire, and we would always bounce around with him to different places. At one time, they had a China club out in the Hamptons. It was a seasonal one. So Al had me out there working. And then when the summer was over, the owner's like, hey, we really like you, blah, blah, blah. We'd love for you to come work in the city, but you got to meet the head of security for the guy who runs the city. All right. So I go in the city. I meet this guy named Avi. Big Israeli guy, good shape, nicest guy you ever want to meet. We hit it off, gives me hours, we start working. During the time that we're all working at the China Club, Bruce Willis is a bartender. So we're all a bunch of bridge and tunnel guys. Wow. Bruce and his brother came from Jersey. Okay. I came from Long Island. So we all kind of knew each other from the club scene.
And Bruce, your first client?
That was Avi's first client. So fast forward.
Shit.
When Bruce signed to do Hudson Hawk, which was his first feature film, he took Avi as his security. And then Avi kind of built his company.
Yeah.
You're still with Avi today, right?
Oh, yeah. So Avi kind of built this company up for Bruce. So Bruce has been around for 1,000,000 years. I come back from, and Avi and I lost touch because he was in New York, but he moved out to L.A. He's doing his thing out there. Fast forward many years later, through Al, Avi finds out that I'm back in New York. Hey, man, what are you doing? Man, I'm working, running around with the state police, blah, blah, blah. Are you looking for work? So Avi and I kind of reconnected. You know, I started doing small jobs for him, and I've been with him ever since.
Yeah, like weekend stuff, right? Job number 2.
So now I'm still
John McClane.
So I'm still with him. You know, Avi now has
taking care of every
a big
A-list
office.
celebrity in the
He
world.
has a big office in California. I have an office here in Tribeca. We have a London office, and I'll be with him until I'm done.
Wow, that's cool.
You know,
And it all starts from Bruce Willis, the bartender from New Jersey, meets Gay, the ex-military guy, bouncer at the club.
It's literally
same thing with Avi.
being in the right place at the right time.
Wow.
But I also tell people that it's being in the right place at the right time, but also being able to do the job.
Sure. Yeah, you
So
got to be
I
able
tell-
to do what's needed.
Again, I spoke to a guy about that today. He goes, listen, someone will give you an opportunity, but you got to still do the work yourself.
Sure.
You know, that's on you. You know, guys who want to get into my field or they want to get in anywhere in life, someone may open a door for you and give you that one advantage, but the rest of the work is your own.
Sure.
You know, and they'll be, oh, you know, you only got in because, you know, you're the so-and-so's son or, you know, this one.
Yeah.
But they still have to do all the work.
Still did the job, yeah.
And if they do the work properly, then you make your way. And if you don't, then that's on you as well. All I can do is give you the opportunity.
Mm.
You know?
You're not going to get too many either, so you got to do the work.
It's
Especially the higher you climb, especially the higher profile the opportunities are, the higher ranks of where money's being spent. It's unforgiving.
Well, I think the fact that if someone gives you an opportunity, you should do the right thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Someone's going on the limb for you. Someone has signed off on you. At least be decent enough to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And because otherwise, the next time you recommend someone, I'm like, oh, I remember the last guy you recommended.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was kind of like this, as opposed to let your work speak for yourself, but also make that person who recommended you like, hey, that was a good call. I was a little worried, but yeah, actually really worked out well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of trust involved.
And I think sometimes that's what we're lacking sometimes. We lack the follow through. I think sometimes now everyone feels so entitled. And I just literally had this conversation today. Everyone's like, oh, you're entitled. Like, oh, they should give me the opportunity and cut me slack. No. They gave you the opportunity, but now you got to dig that ditch yourself.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at the story you just told. I mean, you were a kid who grew up in Wyandanch. Understanding the spot on the map to go from Wyandanch to doing what you do and who you work with. I mean, that's pure.
So even like
based on doing the right thing.
Even like my parents sent me to private school. There were not a lot of minorities in that private school. So I had a lot of other issues to deal with growing up. My father, bless his soul, one of the good things, he was up there probably every other week like a hostage negotiator, trying not to get me thrown out of that place. Because, again, I was still for Wyandanch and I wasn't going to take that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was a little combative. And I kind of wore my heart on the sleeve. And literally my father would be up there like, please don't.
And did you want to be there?
Probably not in the beginning,
Probably
right?
not in the beginning, right?
I wouldn't necessarily. No, I wouldn't say that. I had a very tough home life as well. Both my parents are from the islands.
Okay.
So island life and island people aren't always easy to begin with as well. So let's put to say that I was okay.
I'll try something new.
I was okay to change that venue and give it a shot. And actually, the first year I was a day student. So I lived close enough that I can go home. But a lot of kids boarded there. Mm-hmm. But I made friends with a lot of kids, and I felt weird. Like, all right, see you guys tomorrow. I'm going home. And they're like, bye, have a nice time with your family. You know what I mean? Have a nice home-cooked meal while you're laying in your bed. Because when you're a boarder, it's a military school. So literally you have a foot locker and a locker and a bunk bed.
Wow.
And when you're younger, as you get older and higher in the ranking and higher in grade status, the rooms get smaller, Till like I was a senior, I was in a room by myself. But as, I think I was probably 8. You know what I mean?
You started at 8 years old?
Yeah. Wow. It was a big ass room with a bunch of
people in it.
A bunch of smelly guys in it. You know what I mean? But after my first year, I was like, I want to try to be a boarder because, I kind of want to hang around my friends.
Right.
And then my parents were like, all right, we'll try it. And I never came back after that. I was like, oh, I'm good.
Damn.
I came home for holidays, but they lived close enough where my dad came to games and my sisters came to wrestling matches and all that stuff. But I pretty much was okay. And as you get older, you get more responsibility, you get higher in rank. I was probably the most promoted and demoted student in academy, seriously, in academy history. Because I would get promoted and then figure out some lame brain way to get in trouble and get demoted. And then get promoted again and get demoted again. Oh. And then when I graduated, I was the highest ranking cadet in the academy. That's the running joke of the whole thing. Wow. I was a regimental commander when I graduated. I was the highest ranking guy there.
Are any of those military schools still around?
No, listen, they're not sexy anymore. Listen, if you opened up a military school now,
not working.
They would be burning it down at the foundation.
It's from a different time.
It's a different time. So you have besides all the service academies, I think you still have maybe New York Military Academy still be around. And then you got military colleges like VML, Virginia Military, the Citadel, some of those schools. But military high schools and all that stuff, they've kind of...
Thing of the past.
Which is funny because they went away from military and then they did those sneaky little things that is on that documentary, the program. I don't know if you just saw that on Netflix, but it's like...
Oh, where they drop you off?
They would just drop you off at the school and be all these...
It's bad news.
Not well-educated teachers, pretty much abusing kids and
Right.
doing all that bad. So like the military aspect went away, the bad stuff stayed there, and all those kids are all fucked up.
Yeah, and
all those kids are fucked up.
And even for me, there was different reasons why, some kids went to military school back in the day because they were problem children. Some kids went to military school because they wanted, their parents wanted to get them into a better community or a better lifespan like I did. We had kids there from like overseas,
Wow.
Yeah, we had like diplomat kids. I mean, we had a little bit of everybody
Interesting.
that ended up there.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best experiences. I mean,
You've lived some fucking life, man.
Seriously.
I mean, again, that's what I'm like. And you see, it wasn't like it was all shabby and run down. We had pools and,
Nice.
they were surrounded by golf courses
Yeah.
and,
I've never been to Ohika Castle.
No?
Ohika Castle, no. I still.
yeah.
I
no.
never knew that it was a school.
Yeah.
I never been there.
So, that's Ohika Castle used to be someone's house.
Yes.
Otto Khan was his name. And that's a man-made hill.
Oh, really?
That hill is man-made. He wanted to be one of the highest points on Long Island.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
So he built
Some
that
bougie
hill.
shit.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Bougie shit.
And then he had all the stones and stuff brought in from Europe because it's like that French
Yeah, it's like a
provincial
weird
look.
color.
Yeah, and he had an underground railroad that went all the way to the Sound, all kinds of stuff.
I got a very serious question. You've lived an amazing life. Is your most prized possession the folder in your phone that has all the pictures from after you guys do jiu-jitsu?
Megan loves our pictures.
Is that every
wait,
Sunday
no,
or every
I'm
Monday morning?
So no, but here's the funny thing. I would say yes, and I'll tell you why. I delete a lot of stuff on my phone. I don't delete one jiu-jitsu picture.
Not my boys.
I'll delete a bunch of stuff. I'll take stuff when I'm working, or I gotta take a picture of this and that. I delete all that. Every photo we take, but you know also why we take the photos.
This is good.
It's the proof of life, I call it. Because that way my wife knows I'm really showing up for things. Because I'm serious. Because I'm like, for me to be out the house this much,
Coming straight from the
coincidentally
plane.
going to jiu-jitsu?
You gotta
Oh,
document.
no. I'm like, and you laugh. I'll get home, and if Tony or Jesse or Brandon haven't sent that photo.
No, by like 5 p.m. he says proof of life text all the time.
Because I have to now post that to show that I was really there.
That is funny.
Because most women be like,
Oh, yeah.
because I sometimes go twice a day. So I'll do the morning class and I'll do the night class.
Still doing 2 a day.
Exactly. Oh, no. A
Couple weeks ago.
He does 2 days all the fucking time.
I did 2 days yesterday.
All the time.
A couple weeks ago, I was over at the scene in Comac. When I got home, I was like, yeah, I was doing jiu-jitsu.
I'm just coming for
And
the photo
then
next
I
week.
Canva myself into their photos.
Yeah, like this.
That's it. You know what I mean?
In the gi.
Sometimes you got to do
She loves it. She loves
That's
it.
why even like Jesse,
I
if
respond
he
to
leaves
every
too
single
soon,
one he
like
posts.
even if you have to leave early, you have to stop everyone training.
Take a picture
so
first?
you get your photo first before you leave, because otherwise that photo comes out and you'll be like, I thought you went to jiu-jitsu. You're not in that photo.
I love that.
No.
She hit me with some funny shit once. Like I was making fun of like girls and how they're always doing the picture and shit, and like they do what they do. And she was like, "You fucking kidding me? Like on several times a week, you line up with grown men
That's
in
different, though.
pajamas
No.
and take these pictures."
That's different because that's
funny.
I don't know if men do it, but I know because my daughter does that too. And I don't know if it's Instagram, TikTok, what it is. She'll be walking with us and she'll be like,
Pop.
what are you doing? No man does that. I'm sorry. There's no man.
That's just that's
There's
a
not a bunch of
generational thing.
homeboys walking down the street go, yeah, what's up? No, that don't happen. You know what I'm saying? It don't happen in Compton that way. They do that in Wyandotte. Should I take the pictures like that? Because I'm like, and my daughter do it all the time. She be like, oh, yeah. So when we take our photos, first of all, it's commemorating our male bonding time.
I love that.
The bromance
I love
time, as
that.
my wife calls it. You know, because like when I call John on the phone every day, my wife is like, oh my God. Him and his wife, I'm like, are you guys talking again? Like, what are you doing? Well, I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. How was your day? My day was great. How was your day? And I kid you not. Those are the conversations. And my wife would be like, you two are just like, all right, so what are you doing later? You gonna get coffee later? I'm not sure. Well, let's check to see. I don't know.
It's an old skill. Nobody talks anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But believe it or not, I'm actually trying to bring that back.
I hope you succeed.
because
I call him, he gets angry.
I find that we
Yeah,
text
don't call me.
so much
Yeah,
that we are so disconnected
I agree.
that if I have the ability to, I'd rather call you. Because I just find that we get so lazy now that I'll just text you.
I agree. This is the first thing we like do the same.
Yeah, no, I would rather have a conversation.
With any guest that we've had.
With any guest.
I think like as it pertains to like work, when I'm working and it's in a business context, texting is super efficient and effective. But like when you're talking about people that you have real relationships with, I think it's healthy to talk on the phone from
Well, I
time to
think
time
even
because
sometimes
it's like that's how you
I think
get
sometimes with business though, sometimes things get lost in translation.
without a doubt.
Because you can't really understand
Context.
the context of
yeah,
that
100%.
text.
especially sarcasm.
That's why sometimes
Doesn't
like, I
work.
gotta say I call you because I can't even text like this because this is annoying me. Wait, what's going on?
You can't ever truly know where somebody's coming from when it's in
Yeah.
the written word.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah, but I'm trying to do more of that, of being able to call people and have that connection because I kind of enjoy that connection.
Yeah.
I actually tried for a while just to dial people's number randomly and remember it. And I gave up on that. I tried. Growing up,
You used
I
to know
remember
everybody's number.
I remember all my home phone numbers when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Pizza place, Chinese
I
food
can
place.
barely
Place,
remember.
Chinese place.
I can barely remember my wife's cell number.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like I got about 3 or 4 of those numbers, and the rest I'm kind of like trying to remember. But I tried for a while, so I'm just going to keep dialing numbers and calling people, and then I was like, nah, it's too much work. But you should call people. Let's not text.
I like when I'm in the car. Like if I'm driving in the car, that's like a time to like give some people a
'cause
call.
you
Like if I
definitely
got
shouldn't
if I got 20, 30 minutes in the car,
don't text
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
well, no, because
make a couple of phone calls and check in on certain people. I do that.
But that's also, I think, a Long Island, not a Long Island thing, but that's like a Long Island driver thing.
Hmm.
Like, I commute to the city a lot, but I don't take the train.
Ah.
A, I have no tolerance for parking. B, I have no tolerance for being around. I'm around so many people when I'm working that I don't want to be around people if I don't have to. So I don't want to be on the train. I don't want something to happen and me have to be involved. So I'd rather sit in my car and mind my business. So then I'll get on the phone and I'll talk.
Yeah.
You know, or I'll
Good
just
stuff.
sit and listen to music, and then, or I'll sit in silence. I enjoy actually
I do that
sometimes
sometimes.
driving
In
in,
the car?
silence and just
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
stop and go traffic doesn't bother me. I
Summer evening, windows rolled down, driving in silence.
oh,
It's nice.
100%.
Sometimes I don't even notice. I'm like halfway through. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't listened to a thing. Like
Yes.
I'm just sitting here.
That's
Yeah.
the best.
Just enjoying life for a second, just like
being
letting it
Thinking
Yeah.
all being present.
all the time, thinking.
Always.
So jiu-jitsu, all right. So your husband, yeah, he's a black belt.
Uncle.
Your uncle's a black belt.
Yes.
I gotta look up that name.
What's
Yeah,
his
look
name
him
again? Dan Grotzky, you said?
Godsky.
Godsky.
Godzki.
Great
Yeah.
last name.
God's
Is he Polish?
Yeah. So his last name was Gajetsky, and then he shortened it. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did he
But
shorten it, or
he
was
did
he
like the
told to
wrestler.
shorten
Was he told to
jiu-jitsu
shorten it?
guidelines.
Did the government tell him to shorten that name?
Yeah. Before he got his pass.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
man, I think that there's no way anybody can argue that you have not been the most interesting guest that we've had.
Yeah, the coolest life story I've ever heard.
Oh, so good.
We got to get like a loser in that chair at some point so I feel better about myself. Like somebody who just doesn't have it together yet, and maybe we can help him get it together.
A little intervention, something.
Like,
A little intervention.
Every time,
harsh,
Kurt's
man.
been getting a lot of heat lately.
God.
Kurt's been getting a lot of heat.
but nobody's even putting it on me. I just feel it. It's just in me. I feel how successful people are.
You feel like we're doing this on purpose?
Kinda. Let's get some guests in here.
Why are you remote?
This
in
one?
Boston.
Boston.
Oh, you're in Boston?
yeah.
Oh,
I am.
What part of Boston are you in, if you can say without
I'm right
being
in the
too-
south end of the city.
Oh, I was just there this weekend. I love Boston.
What were you there for?
My son goes to college in Boston, at Wentworth.
Oh, awesome. My boyfriend used to work for Wentworth for a
yeah,
bit.
so he's going for engineering and he plays lacrosse, and he had a big game one Saturday we went to.
Oh, awesome.
Boston's our spot. What's our favorite
Love
place?
it.
The Verb. We always try to stay at the Verb if we can in the Fenway.
Okay.
It's like our normal place to stay. We got a couple of Italian restaurants that we always go to.
Nice.
The North End?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isabella's is our favorite
Okay.
Italian North End restaurant.
Sounds delicious.
There's so many over
Now
there.
we're talking.
My wife dragged
Get
me
all
around-
this working out
Oh
bullshit.
yeah, no.
You know?
'cause,
Kirk can
it's-
jam here.
Boston
Jumping
is-
out of
Boston's-
planes.
So funny Boston story. And then so when I was in Vegas, I met these guys from that group Czarface. I told you about that.
Yeah,
so George, Seamus, and all of them. So they all live in Boston. So they told me places to go to when we get together sometimes, blah, blah, blah. I leave my son's lacrosse game. I'm driving to the hotel. I see this guy and a family walking across the street. I said, wow, that looks like George that I just met from Vegas. But how random is that in Boston? I go, no, that can't be him. So then I'm driving away. I go, man. So I texted him, hey, man, where are you right now? I'm in the Fenway. Well, you just all agreed crossing the street. He's like,
Damn.
yeah, that was me. How random
That's
is
nuts.
that? I
What
met
are
this
the
guy in
odds of that?
Vegas a month ago
Oh, he was
and
right
just
there.
driving through Boston, and he literally walks right in front of the car like this.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Small
But yeah,
world.
but Boston's a great city. I mean, we go there as much as possible. And I go to these.
You
so
guys
I-
hear that?
and I go, yeah,
Yeah.
What do you got?
music.
There's just someone blasting music.
Oh.
I thought it was here. I thought it was you, right?
I thought so
No,
too.
it's literally they're just sitting outside the street. But
Boston's
yeah,
hot right
Boston's
now.
great.
She goes, the Boston's great with the MS-13 outside my window right now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, don't mind him. Besides, that's great.
Besides the motorcycles doing endos around, doing donuts in front.
He's literally just the whole floor is shaking right now.
Yeah, 'cause we- perfect timing.
Yes, that's a grand finale.
Well, man, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah,
man.
seriously, thank you so
It was
much.
good. No.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know what to expect. They were like, you're like, come on in. Jesse's like, just come in. Just come in.
Yeah, just chat.
Just come in. Just
We'll start
chat.
the real show now.
We'll start the real show. You're like, oh, were we supposed to?